Zanzi. Let's move to this conversation now. Invitations to apply to serve on the National Youth Development Agency Board are now open to the public. The NYDA has been without a board since May 2020. The previous selection process had been questioned for alleged political interference. Youth Capital and Youth Lab have encouraged young people to apply to serve on the board and to stay engaged by following the selection process closely. We're now joined by Dimpho Lekgeu, who is the Community Manager at Youth Lab South Africa. Good evening and thank you so much for your time tonight. Some young people have said that this is a waste of time, but you are calling on them to watch this process closely. Why?
Good evening and thank you so much for having us. So we want young people to stay engaged in this process for a number of reasons. I think the most important one being that we don't want to see a repeat of what happened with the previous board appointment process, which was very politicized, and we believe also that the process was not transparent. And so we find ourselves sitting with the situation that we have currently, where an agency like the NYDA, which is so crucial in the engine of youth development, being without a board for almost a year now. We also want young people to stay engaged and actually put their names forward to serve on the board, because we believe it's an opportunity to depoliticize the agency, depoliticize the process, and also just attract young people who can serve on the board, who have the skill, who have the right ideas, who have the right expertise beyond having their own political ambitions.
Some have said that, the fact that it has been without a board for this long is a sign of just how deep the dysfunction goes. Do you agree with that?
To a large extent, yes, we do agree with that. But we also believe that it's because the NYDA as an institution has for such a long time, become a political playground, and the focus has shifted from driving, social and economic participation of young people to kind of just becoming a place for career deployment. But at the same time, we just also believe that we do not have the right people who are sitting to oversee the affairs of the board. We did question the previous parliamentary committee that oversaw the entire appointment process. So it's not just an NYDA problem. I think it's a problem even from the department and the ministry responsible for youth, the ministry responsible for social development, as well as the NYDA.
And some, as you say, that it has been politicized. Others, over the years have even perceived it as a private bank for the Youth League, or even an employment agency for the Youth League. Don't you then think that the NYDA should be dissolved and potentially a new structure that you say should serve young people should come into play?
No. So the NYDA, I think as a concept, the NYDA on paper makes a lot of sense. We do need an institution that is, to an extent, independent from government to champion the needs of young people. We do need an agency that is going to coordinate the activities of everyone in society who has an interest in youth development, and that being civil society organizations, various departments, even corporate. So we do need an institution that's going to coordinate those activities, and the NYDA is supposed to serve that. What we do need, though, is to see board members who can come into the agency and give the necessary strategic direction, the necessary oversight, and the right accountability. So we don't need to start from scratch. We don't need a new institution. So much has already been invested into the NYDA as an agency financially, but also in terms of expertise. I just think that, and this is another reason why we're calling young people to be so engaged and to be part of the process, right? It's because we want to see things being done differently at the NYDA.
And when one then looks at what you're saying, because it's quite important that it really needs to ensure that, those who are leading it are accountable, and even the board, as you call for young people to watch this process closely, do you then have hope that once there's the right people at the helm, there won't be enough political interference to almost collapse this organization?
We do have hope. So Youth Lab and Youth Capital have launched a social media campaign to encourage young people to apply to serve on the board. And since we've launched the campaign, we've really been seeing so many messages, so many young people who have been youth activists, who have been active in the space of civil society, who have been active as entrepreneurs, writing to us and saying, I'm actually thinking of applying to serve on the board. So already we are attracting young people who do not necessarily have a political interest, who do not necessarily have political affiliation, but who have the right skills, who have the right ideas, who are passionate and are actively working in the space of youth development, who are putting their names forward to serve on the board. I think that in the past, the reason that the NYDA had become politicized is because there was a large gap between the NYDA and the young people that it aims to serve in terms of communication and in terms of access. And so what we're doing with this
disappointment there just right at the end of that particular interview, but certainly a lot of insights there that we have received from Dimpho Lekgeu, who's a community manager at Youth Lab.